Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the weekly Tottenham news review. I'm leader Dorset Spur. I come on once a week on Chris's channel to talk to you about all the stories making the headlines over the last 7 days, give you my opinion on them, and then give you the opportunity to come back and tell me whether I'm talking complete tosh or whether you think I'm on the right track. So, what a week. What a week. Excuse me. So, essentially, the football season has finished, and there's more to talk about now than there has been really for the last couple of weeks, apart from obviously the big news of winning that big shiny trophy. So I've rattled on about that for the last couple of weeks. But this week, of course, there is so much to talk about. There's so many stories going around that it's really difficult not to have a huge list of stuff to kind of go through. But so let's kind of try and get through some of it and see what you think about this situation. So I guess the biggest story that continues to rumble on all the time is the future of the manager Ange Postecoglou. Only Spurs, literally only Spurs could go on, win a trophy after 17 years, not only a trophy, but the biggest trophy that he could have won, and a trophy that we haven't won for 41 years. And then get called out by all the media and by a certain section of fans saying the man's got to go. Thanks, off you pop. How quickly we forget that feeling 2.5 weeks ago of getting over the line and winning the Europa League. That feeling, I mean, I would suggest that if you've got any doubts about winning a trophy, what that means, I suggest you go back and watch some of the videos of the closing moments of that match, the euphoria around the fans. Watch the speeches on the buses when they were doing the parade and the joy on people's faces. I mean, I'm not ashamed to tell you, I was in tears. I was in tears. Seeing Spurs lift that trophy for so long, and not just a League Cup that we were all kind of happy to take, but actually a Europa League, third time Europa League. I mean, it is massive. And you can argue as much as you want. And I really don't care about who the opponents were, how we got through it, all that. I really don't care. Because all that matters at the end of all of that is that we lifted the trophy. And that feeling of euphoria, of the monkey getting chucked off your back, to be able to banter rival fans rather than just sitting there happily nodding away going, yeah, well, no, we never win anything, do we? No, yeah, crack on. Like, for me, it's just been mega. And there's only one person who you can really put that to, and that's the manager. Like, he did what he needed to do. He did what he said he was going to do. And so in my mind, I just cannot understand how we can be in a situation 2 weeks later where he is being harassed about actually leaving the club. It's interesting, I watched the overlap stick to football thing that Gary Neville does with Roy Keane and all the rest of it, where they interview players, ex-managers and all the rest of it. It's quite an interesting insight sometimes. I do enjoy it. And they had on there Sean Dyche. And I actually clipped it and sent it off to a few friends to see. And he said, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but he basically said, the fans and the media, and he was putting it out there to those sat there, your Nevilles, your Carragers, your Roy Keanes and all the rest of it. You have a massive say on the pressure of a manager and whether a manager gets changed or not. And that is the narrative that is kind of going on currently, whereby all the media outlets, you know, are just basically churning out the same old stories and casting doubt that stirs up the fan base, constantly talking about, you know, the league position and blah, 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 to stir it up and put the club under pressure. Now, the thing I would say about this is I'm not seeing any stories about should Glasner stay at Crystal Palace? Should he? Is there any doubt over him? Finished 12th and won the FA Cup. Is that good enough? Is it? You ask a Palace fan, they'll tell you it's good enough. It's absolutely massive, right? No one's talking about Eddie Howe at Newcastle, who have only won a League Cup, first time in 70 years. With all the money that's available to them, all the opportunity and all the rest of it, no one's asking the question about him. Pep Guardiola, for the first time in however many years, has won nothing. What about his future? Mikel Arteta, dare I even ask about him? Hasn't won anything since 2020. 5 years, no trophies, spend, oh so close, being lauded as he's done so well, great, he comes second. Who cares? No one's going to remember that. No one's going to remember that. In 10 years' time, no one will give a flying. And yet here we are talking about Ange Postecoglou's future. And I know there are a massive amount of people out there that want him out because of the league position and all the rest of it. And I get that. I understand that. The league position is not acceptable. Absolutely not acceptable. But at the same time as that, you have to go, well, hold on a minute. In terms of the players that were brought in, all young players bought by the club, the movement of players out, significant movement of players out for the second season. First season, we lost lots of players. We had unprecedented injuries and so on. So the depth of the squad was really thin. And then you went quite far in the Carabao Cup. You went all the way in the Europa League, all on a thin squad of youth players, whilst having all of these injuries. And you're telling me that doesn't have an impact. The reality is, now's the season to build. You've got that monkey off your back. You've won a trophy. We've moved on. You've got Champions League football by hook or by crook. You've managed to get that. Okay, what do we do now? Right, so we've got a manager who knows how to win. We've got a manager who knows how to work on with a tight squad. We've got a manager who knows the young players. We've got a manager who's got good relationships with the players, that all believe in him and all trust him. Now's the time to go out and really make a statement. Let's start building on that. Let's give him a squad that gives him enough players to be able to compete whilst in the Champions League, whilst in the FA Cup, whilst in the League Cup, whilst in the Premier League. There is nothing definite to say that you're going to lose 22 league games again next season. There's nothing to say that. It's not a definite thing that's going to happen. You can change your manager now, and you can go to Thomas Frank, who's won nothing, whose biggest job is Brentford. So all the questions about, yeah, but what's he won? Where's he managed? There's your answer. There's no saying that he is going to do any better just because he's done a decent job at Brentford, given them mid-table. There's nothing to tell you that. So where all this trust for this guy comes from, I don't know. Now, if Ange Postecoglou goes and Thomas Frank comes in, I will absolutely support that manager and want him to do well. Of course I do. But whilst he's not our manager, I don't care. I want to support our manager to continue this build, to continue this strive forward. We've made a big step. Winning something is a big step. What now? The pressure should be on Daniel Levy and the board to deliver, to support the manager, to give him what he needs to be able to move forward. Surely that makes sense. It makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Yeah, it makes sense to me. So it makes sense, right? Anyway, I'm ranting on about this. I'm ranting on about this too much. I've done some videos about it on my own channel, talking about Ange and my frustrations and so on. So I don't want to take up this whole video talking about Ange and all that. I've made my statement. I've made my case. That's me. That's my case about that. So I'm not going to talk about Ange anymore. I'm going to let you mull that over and think about it from your point of view. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Are you Anging? You Ange out? I know there's a lot of debate about it, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not telling you what you need to think. You don't have to agree with me. Okay, it's my opinion. It's not necessarily Chris's opinion or anybody else associated with this channel. It's my opinion, and I own it. And if you disagree with it, you're entitled to do that. You're entitled to have a different opinion to me. That's absolutely fine. Anyway, moving on. In other news. Donna Cullen has left her post. A board member has moved on. Apparently, big shake-ups coming in the boardroom with a new guy, a new CEO coming in and so on. Not sure what that's about, but it feels like a good thing. In my mind, it feels like a good thing. I know that Donna Cullen was one of the leading voices that was against... Oh, excuse me, I don't know what's going on here. Probably because I'm ranting. I know Donna Cullen was one of the leading voices who didn't want Mauricio Pochettino back. She was against that, and that was a difficult thing at the time because everyone was clamouring for Poch to come back to be the saviour, because we thought he would be the saviour, the man who would do the business. And I know that she has been a lot to do with kind of all the kind of other things that are going on at the club, all the different sales stuff and all that kind of thing. And I'm sure she's done a decent job. She's been at the club something like 30 years and been involved in it. But she is a divisive figure, along with Daniel Levy. She's probably number 2 in the hit list of people you'd want to see go. So hopefully that's the start of something, a bit of a change, and different voices coming in, maybe giving different opinions that might allow us to kind of move forward. Maybe it is signalling something else. Who knows? It's hard to tell because it's all insider stuff, right? I'm not sat on the board, so I don't know what it means for us and what she's really been responsible for and what she's caused problems for. There are people out there that are better placed to talk about that. But yeah, she's gone, and time will tell whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for us. Also leaving the club this week was Ryan Mason, the assistant manager. Ryan been at the club obviously as a young man, as a player, as an assistant coach, and a couple of times sitting in as a caretaker coach and all the rest of it. Finally gets his opportunity to manage a decent club. Moving on to West Bromwich Albion. For me, absolutely wish him the best. I hope that it works out for him. I hope that he can get success and prove that English managers still do have a place in the leagues, and opportunities do come their way. To prove what they can do, what they're learning from all these other coaches that are coming in and doing things differently. I guess the one thing I would say, and I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Ange, but the one thing I would say is if he's been the assistant to Ange, then surely he takes as much responsibility for those losses as he does for winning the Europa League. Along with Matty Wells and whoever else is in there. It's a collective responsibility. They're the guys leading the training. They're the guys working with the players on a day-to-day and so on, implementing the training methods and the ideas that they're all taught and learnt and all the rest of it. So I think there is a bit in there where he maybe needs to take the responsibility for that. So if everybody is going, Ryan Mason he's a great manager and he's going to be brilliant and and all the rest of it, then maybe you should afford the current manager the same level of respect that we are with Ryan Mason. But anyway, listen, Ryan Mason, good luck to him. I think that he's been a great servant for the club. He clearly has an affinity with the club and loves the club. But of course, he needs to needs to develop for himself and improve and learn and take that responsibility and stuff like that. And I wish him all the best. I hope it works out for him. I hope that he wins every game that he plays, except if he ever plays against Tottenham. Good luck to him, and let's hope that that's a start of something special for him in terms of his journey in football. Moving on, I guess, to recruitment and transfers. Of course, this week we've seen some releases from the club. So Fraser Forster, Sergio Reguilon, Alfie Whiteman have all left the club. Their contracts have come to an end, and they are no surprise. I guess Whiteman was a bit of a surprise, but bearing in mind we've brought in Anton Kinski as well, it kind of makes a bit of sense for him to get all out there and actually find a club where he can play regular football. Sergio Reguilon, a bit sad really for Reggie, because he came in with an awful lot of hype coming from Real Madrid. And I always felt that he was a half-decent player. He was decent going forward, not particularly good coming back from my point of view, and never crossed enough. That was the kind of my overarching feeling for him, but seemed a decent player. I feel sorry for him. He hasn't played an awful lot of football. No one wanted to take him on loan. He went out to Man United for a little bit, went out to Brentford for a little bit, but nothing seemed to come for him. So hopefully the hundreds of thousands or millions of pounds that he's been paid in the time is some comfort for the fact that he hasn't been able to play football. But when you're a footballer, you want to play football. You just want to play. So it must be disappointing and hard for him. But good luck to him. Hope he finds a club if he hasn't already, and goes on to decent things. Still a fairly young man. Fraser Forster, absolutely feel that he deserves a little bit of credit. He played some decent roles for us over the course of time. Not many games, but when he came on, he didn't really let us down. There was a big clamour of how desperate it was going to be if we were relying on him when we didn't have the goalkeeper in place, and he came in and he did a decent job. And he didn't really let us down. There was a couple of occasions where trying to kick with his feet, and he was a bit desperate. I mean, I remember him letting Man United back into a game, and so there were some calamity moments, but generally speaking, great shot stopper. Did really well, and walks away with a Europa League winners medal. So fair play to him from that. Along with him moving on, we've also returned Timo Werner back to RB Leipzig. And I have to say, as not being a fan of Timo Werner, I'm happy to see him go. The amount of money the guy was costing. And people will talk about, you pay the wages, you get the better players. Jesus Christ, the amount of money we were paying that guy for what he delivered, for me, unbelievable. I understand why they brought him in, short-term replacement, and potentially it could go well and so on and so forth, but never worked, never seemed to work at all. I'm really, really disappointed that he couldn't, really turn on, what has made him the player that he was perceived to be, why other clubs have bought him and so on. But I'm sure Timo Werner will move on to bigger and better things and pick up medals somewhere else. I'm sure he'll be a decent footballer somewhere, and good luck to him. But I'm happy to see the back of him, if I'm being honest. And that, that's quite sad. I don't generally say that about a lot of players. There's been a few, but not generally too many. And of course, Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg has also ended his loan move. It's now become permanent. He's out at Marseille. Well, I love him. What a great place to end up playing football. Marseille, lovely city. Been there. Really, really nice. But yeah, Højbjerg, I actually really liked him. I thought he was a great player. A real war horse, a real sort of battler, a real professional, give everything, regardless. Even when he came on, he was playing for Ange. He would come in and he would try and get us through to the end of a game and so on. Something that I think that we're missing, if I'm being honest. But But of course, he wants to play football. He plays for Denmark. He wants to play regular football. He's a footballer. He wants to play, and that was never going to be in the plan for him. And so he had to move on. Personally, I would have loved to have had him as a someone you could kind of bring in at the in the closing stages of a game. The last 10, 15, 20 minutes where you're needing someone to battle it out and really take control and help the players out. I always felt he did that. He'd give his best, but he's moved on, and fair play to that. If that's the answer, then that's the answer. It opens up a space for someone else to come in, and hopefully we can get someone who is at the next level. It's what we're looking for all the time. Is you can't be sentimental. You've got to want to bring in better players all the time, not just these prospects who could get better, but then maybe don't, because the expectation from the fan base gets higher and higher and higher on these kids. And when they don't deliver straight away, people lose interest and lose confidence in them. And then they get on their back, and then that doesn't help them. So anyway, Pierre moves on. Of course, what it also meant was that Kevin Danso has now signed permanently. His loan to us ended, and he has become a permanent member of the team. I actually really like Kevin Danso. I don't think he is our first choice defender, but I do think he is the sort of guy that will come in and won't let you down. He's strong, he's quick, he works hard, and I think he's been fairly decent for us in the times that he's played. Suffered a bit of an injury, which kind of typically causes us another issue. But it'll be interesting to see how he gets on this year. I think it's a good move for him. It's a good move for us. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. In terms of rumours, Leroy Sané has rejected us, apparently, along with Johnny Cardoso. No surprise there. I guess it's all about money, isn't it? When you've got Brian Bomo, however you say it, looking for £250,000 a week at Man United to go to Man United, £1 million a month when they're stopping their own, staff having free meals in their canteen to save £1 million. They're going to pay this bloke £1 million a month. It beggars belief, really, and it just shows how crazy football is these days, with a lack of consideration for the people that work at clubs. Anyway, Leroy Sané has rejected us, apparently. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but he's rejected us. My view on this, if you don't want to come, mate, jog on. I'm not interested. When you come to Spurs, I will support you. I will believe in you. I will cheer your name, and so on and so forth. But if you don't want to come and you've got any concerns about coming, jog on, move along, go wherever you want, and I'll forget about you. Absolutely. But is he the sort of player I would have liked? Yeah, absolutely. He can play left side, right side, down the middle. He can play, in an attacking midfield role and so on. He's won a lot of stuff. He's got a big, high profile. Is he the sort of player that I think we could bring in that would be really, really useful to us? Yeah. So, but if you don't want to come, you don't want to come. I don't care. I can't force it. You can't force it. And of course, the other news rumour that's kind of going around now, and again, I did a little bit of a video on this on my own channel, is there is lots and lots of speculation about Heung-min Son and the fact that he could potentially be moving on in the summer. Bit of a sad day, really. Like I've said before, legends come, legends go. The only consistent thing about football is the fans, and I would be sad to see Sonny go. But if it's the right thing for him, if that's what he thinks is the right thing to him, to end his Tottenham tenure on a high, then I'm happy for him to move on and really, bask in that glory. I'd love the idea of him coming back as a club legend, doing those tours and being an ambassador and all that kind of stuff. It would be fantastic. And I think the club are basically saying, if you want to go, then we won't hold you back. But we would obviously like some money for you. And maybe because of the loyal type of guy that he is, maybe he's thinking, well, if I go this season, The club can get some money, whereas if I go next season, they're not going to get anything. So maybe it is time to move on. I don't know. Equally, if Sonny wants to stay and he wants to fight for his place or be a bit part player or whatever it might be, then I'm happy for that. I'd like to see him see out his contract one more year, see what he can deliver, see what the manager and the club can deliver next season. Are we going to continue on an upward trajectory or not? And obviously we don't know that, but the hope is that this is the start of something, not the end of something. And so if he could be part of that, if he could pick up an FA Cup, for instance, I mean, how cool would that be to be able to say in his last 2 seasons, he picked up 2, really, really meaningful trophies. I would love to see that. I absolutely love to see that. But I think it's a decision for Sonny. I think the club will miss him. I don't think it will impact the amount of support that the club gets from Korea and from Korean fans. But it may weed out some of those that come just to take pictures of Son. And there are a fair few of them. But then that's the same for any big football club. We all get an element of people coming to see certain players and so on. But Son has been such a major attraction for sure. But then we do have the other young guy. Maybe he will take on that mantle and still help push the Tottenham brand around the world, certainly in Asia, because he's not just big in Korea. He's big in China and Japan and all those kind of Asian countries where football is massive. It is massive, and these guys are absolute superstars. So, the future will always be what the future will always be, and the club will continue on. And once you've hooked your fans, generally speaking, they stay forever. Sad if Sonny goes, but I would support him overall because that's the right thing to do. And I think he's been a great servant to the club. He's stayed loyal and he's managed to lift that massive trophy at the end of the season. And I think that's, a good time to maybe move on. But again, it has to be up to Sonny. And of course, this all could just be, media talk. Again, there could be no discussions about this at all. There could be no speculation or interest in him. It could just be nothing. But we're all commenting on it because, it's what keeps it interesting. Football keeps us hooked all the time. Like I say, there's been loads to talk about in this week. In a week where the season has just ended. So, really interesting times. And of course, the last thing I wanted to touch on is what we now know, who we're going to play in our next trophy challenge. PSG in the Super Cup, 13th of August in Udine. I know there are lots of Tottenham fans going. Looks like you have to go. So as I understand it, Venice is the destination where you go to, and then you try to get from Venice to Udine. That's the route that I'm kind of seeing people are kind of thinking about. So PSG in the Super Cup, wow. We see them absolutely demolish in Milan in the Champions League, 5-0 or whatever. Big ask. It's going to be a big ask for a very small squad in pre-season. But listen, a one-off game, you never know. We could play very, very pragmatic. We could play very tight, stop them playing, and just about nick one like we did against Man United, and then we would have 2 trophies in one season. How fantastic would that be? I would absolutely love it, and it would be amazing. Like the banter would be crazy, wouldn't it? To be able to say that we've beaten the champions of the Champions League, and all the meltdown that would bring from some of these other supporters of these other clubs about us only winning the Europa League because it was poor and because the Champions League teams didn't fall down into it. If you go on and beat the champions of the Champions League, that would be absolutely hilarious, and I would love it. It would make my day. It would literally make my day. But of course, if we don't, then it's just a pre-season friendly. That's what I'll be saying to people. It's just a friendly. Calm down, calm down. If we win it, it'll be massive, champions of the world, you know. But if we don't, then it's just a friendly, mate. Calm down, you know. The real football's to come. Yeah. So anyway, listen. Just to round it up, big week. Loads to talk about, loads going on to keep you hooked and keep you interested in all the media outlets and all the chats that are going on. WhatsApp groups are kind of overflowing with information about this player, that player, and all the rest of it. I can't keep up with it. We've been linked with so many players. It's almost like, you know, Jacob Marley's chains. We've been linked so much. But listen. It is what it is, and we'll see where it takes us. I'm sure that Chris will keep you up to date with all the latest news in his 60-second updates. So if you're not subscribed to Chris's channel, please do consider doing that, because then you'll get to know all the different stories that are going on. You'll get to see great content like this, maybe. And there's other contributors to the channel that do watch-alongs and other bits and pieces. You know, you've got Craig, you've got Barnaby. You know, these guys who put the effort in. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, you're going to miss out on all that. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, because that helps let us know whether we're doing the right thing. If you disagree with anything, or you've got a better idea, or you know something I don't know, which you probably do, please leave them in the comment section below. No problem with that at all. I do try to keep up with them and do try to read them. And of course, if you like what I do, then please do consider going over to Lead the Dorset Spur on my YouTube channel. Give me a sub. It'd be great to have you over there. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you don't like the videos, you can always leave again. It's up to you. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Really appreciate your time. I know it drags on a bit, 30 minutes. But that's all the news that I've got for you for this week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Up the Spurs.